Hi, this is Pat Moorhead, and we are live in Maui at Qualcomm Snapdragon Summit. The weather's great, the announcements were great, and now it's time for a little analysis here with my friend, co-host Daniel Newman from Future and Research. How you doing, my friend?
6'5" on the road here in Maui. You know, the on the road thing was really always about taking us places that we want to go.
Exactly.
This is one of those places.
Well, and sometimes we have to rough it, like in Maui. I mean, you know, we've done some stuff kind of all over the country here, and I think we went global this year.
Yeah, we did, but the last 2 mornings watching the sunrise over the Pacific Ocean, I've been really just reflecting on how hard it is.
No, it's tough, but listen, somebody has to do it. That's why, you know, we step up and do this. But listen, some of the biggest announcements here at the summit, or one of the bigger themes, was the expansion of Snapdragon into PCs. And with that, we have these great guests here, Aaron from Microsoft, Kedar from Qualcomm. How you doing, guys?
Outstanding.
Yeah, great day.
Yeah, no kidding.
Tough location.
No, it is tough. It is tough. But you know, like you took one for the team.
Yeah.
And came here. So you know, it's funny. I think this is the first time I've seen you outside of Redmond. But I know you do get out of Redmond. But it's good to see you here. And I was totally surprised when you walked in because I didn't know who we were going to be talking with from Microsoft. I think the Qualcomm folks wanted to stealth it. But hey, maybe a good place to start, Aaron, what do you do for Microsoft?
Yeah, I'm the Vice President of Windows Marketing, which means essentially I run Windows worldwide, including not just current market performance, kind of our go-to-market, manage the business, but also really work quite closely on kind of value prop development in terms of where we'll go over the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, and Kedar, you've had a new and exciting role too. What do you do for Qualcomm?
Yeah, thanks. So most recently I took on a role to lead the compute and gaming business at Qualcomm. And so it's been incredible, especially moving from mobile into PCs. It's going to be a fun ride.
Well, I don't know. I kind of see the characteristics of mobile computing, the benefits they bring to the PC. So it's really fun to have both of you in here.
Yeah, it's interesting, Pat. For quite some time, I've talked about how, you know, in the earlier eras, you know, the mobile device was sort of influenced by the PC. Right. It was almost creating a device in our hand that
was like
looked
a pocket
and felt
PC almost.
like a PC. I mean, there actually were pocket PCs. Yeah. Remember those? And then over the last few years, you've seen this paradigm shift, and now the mobile device has become the, well, gosh, have you checked your screen time lately? I mean, 8 hours a day, 10 hours. I mean, it is the epicenter of our universe. And now we're kind of getting to this point where we're looking for our PC experience to look a little bit more like our mobile device. And that's made a really interesting entree for Qualcomm to enter this space. And so I look forward to, by the way, to talking to both of you. I'm going to start with you, Kedar, because this is your show, the Snapdragon Summit. Talk a little bit about the whole, you know, genesis of Snapdragon Compute. Kind of why did you guys decide to get into this space? Where are you heading?
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of what you said resonates well with exactly how we look at the business, how we're dealing with the value proposition. A couple of things. I think the first and foremost is bringing the phone experience to PCs is super critical for us. Just go back 10 years and look at what has transpired in phones, right? Think of whether we're talking about innovation in transistors, innovation in performance, innovation in even things like sensors and security. So you name it, right? The innovation has been incredible. We want to drive all of that innovation into PCs now. And so for us, the critical aspect is as we bring these differentiated user experience to PCs, we want to make sure that that same experience just migrates from the phone onto the PC. So lots of effort for us, focused in technology innovation, focused on bringing experiences and new category of devices that drive innovation in notebooks.
Yeah, it is incredible to kind of look at where we were. Even, I mean, do both of you remember when tablets were going to just, you know, wipe out the PC market? And a funny thing happened on the way to the show is they didn't. And then, I mean, it reinforced here during the pandemic that literally you have to have a PC to do certain types of things. People prefer to do these things. I even see it with my kids, right?
Yeah.
Grew up with phones and then tablets, and then you're thinking, oh, they're never going to go to do a PC. And it's like, no, I need something dad, right?
Yeah, you're actually seeing something super fascinating over the last couple of years as well, where if you think about the early 2000s, PCs were the pinnacle of what people thought of in terms of technology, where they spent their time. Really in 2005, 2006, 2008, through really the next 5 years, you really saw a growth of people really experiencing what that type of technology in their pocket would mean. Right. Over the last couple of years, though, we've really seen a transition, to your point, and that includes much younger generations that I think preferred the phone, but were all of a sudden really forced to spend a lot more time trying to do their daily activities, whether it's learning, working, or participating with their friends on the PC. And what we've really seen as a data result of that is not just really rapid growth in terms of density of who has a PC, but the amount of time they spend on that PC. And so we're really seeing kind of a resurging kind of time and focus on that. And all of them are bringing those expectations for the phone to the PC category.
It's the 8 hours on the phone and then 4 more hours on the PC.
Exactly.
12 hours of sleep, we call it a day.
Probably it's opposite for me. I'm probably an 8-hour Windows PC guy and probably 4 hours on the phone.
That's actually more characteristics of most people. The frequency of the phone is high, the duration on the PC is high.
Makes sense.
Right. No, I love that. So one of the things that we saw in the mobile phone market, or the, I would call it the architecture of it, is using a lot of AI in, right? And whether it's in photography, some type of intelligence on how my phone is doing, maybe malware, but the PC as a platform hasn't gone as far. I saw the great studio effects that you brought with the latest round, which works incredibly well on Snapdragon. Very impressive work that you did. But the question is for Kedar, what's your view and your vision? I mean, you doubling down on this? Are you going to enable Aaron to do these amazing things with his platform?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. If you think about what happened with, say, GPU 10 years ago, it absolutely changed, like the GPU story, absolutely changed graphics, gaming, more complex UIs. I think you should expect the exact same shift with AI. So we're definitely treating AI as the third, probably the most important vector over the next several years, and how it's going to bring innovation to PCs. You brought up Windows effects, Studio Effects. It's incredible. You saw the demo in the keynote. Just the kind of stuff, the noise cancellation, the gaze correction, the background blur. It's so seamless. We don't want users to know what's happening in the background. We just want AI to be very intelligent and make these PCs more intelligently connected. So I think the next 10 years, you're going to see a huge shift in how on-device AI is going to enable differentiated experience on the PC.
Yeah, so we don't break news here on the 6.5, but you did bring out... Sometimes we do?
Sometimes we do.
And I know Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 is a smartphone chip that you announced yesterday, but you increased AI performance by 40x on that, doing a lot of cool tricks. So I, for one, am excited that the two of you, meet each other, work together to amp that up even more with regards to your future roadmap.
Yeah, I think you're hitting on something. To me, if you look at inside the category, I think you're exactly right. We've kind of gotten to a definition of CPU and GPU. But if you take a step back, I think we're at an inflection point in terms of just broad technology, which is going to be this AI horizon. And I think it's very similar to, if you think about almost every business and industry having to rationalize first how to think about search, then think about mobile. I think AI is going to be that next horizon. What's really fascinating about that is the cost, the resource cost to actually be able to do a lot of those magical scenarios is incredibly high. And so one of the things that we see with the partnership between Qualcomm Technologies and Microsoft that we get super bullish on is really the horizon capability at the edge to actually accelerate those models, bring that type of magic without taxing the core capabilities of the PC at the CPU and GPU level. And that's going to be a real separation in terms of what types of devices people prefer based upon what they honestly can do.
I love it.
It's interesting, though, because in the end, you have a fragmented market that is the PC market. You're seeing some shift. Qualcomm entering the space is, could be seen as a certain disruptor, possibly changing the game, right? Because you kind of had the PC school and the Mac school, and that's what you have. And now you've got you guys coming in with a ton of mobile heritage, But in the end, it's going to come down to people like Microsoft and your customers coming to you and saying, look, we've come to Microsoft, we've tried the Windows on Snapdragon, we love it, we want to deploy it across our enterprise. Or you start to see consumers walking into your retailers and actually asking for it. Like, what has been kind of the early feedback, Aaron, that you're getting from talking to customers, talking to your partners about the Qualcomm product? Is it, do you see an adoption curve? Is it a hockey stick opportunity?
I think it will be a hockey stick opportunity. And the reason why is kind of maybe twofold. The first and probably the most interesting kind of early preview of what we expect is actually with the Windows Dev Kit 2023, which is a Snapdragon-based processor that really unlocks developers' opportunities to really see firsthand what really NPU acceleration will mean on the edge. We see partners like Skylum really start to talk about these really rich models in terms of what they can produce, and at the edge see 80 to 90 times faster than a CPU and up to 20 times faster than a GPU. Not only do they see a faster acceleration, but then again, it frees up that core CPU and GPU to do other tasks. And so if you ask me where we'll see that hockey stick, it's really developers taking advantage of both the platform and the chip capabilities and starting to see that type of advancement. Those were simply not possible before, or incredibly expensive because you had to move models from the edge to the cloud back to the edge. And that actually incurs an enormous amount of cost for developers. And so for me, that's probably the best leading signal. Then the secondarily is the products like the Surface Pro 9 with 5G really kind of starts to fill this niche where as a value prop, customers aren't walking in saying, I want this AI capable product. What they want is a product that lasts multiple days on the battery. What they want is when you show up in places like Maui, where Wi-Fi is kind of restricted to the hotels, but that's not necessarily where you want to work, having that ability to connect. And then those core experiences that are powered by AI, but what they're really saying is, hey, I want to be seen and heard. I want to participate regardless of the environment I'm in. And that's where AI functionality can really actually play a role. So both of those make me incredibly optimistic in terms of what's about to happen in the compute space.
Yeah, I think it's the fact that there hasn't been a lot of AI in the PC platform so far, and then you think about where it could go. I think I'm hopeful that we'll see things that we didn't expect.
Yeah.
Right? I think we've learned from the smartphone that, we would expect a better camera experience. You've integrated that between the two of you with studio effects. But if I think about gaming, if I think about future, even on productivity, what could I do if I had, this killer, amazing search that I didn't have to go up and down all the time? I could just, I could find what I actually want on my Windows PC. Not that I'm, I like to play junior product manager. You know that about me. So why change here?
Yeah, I think the fascinating part right now is by far the best illustration of what's possible on the hardware with the platform is the studio effects, because you really just see it instantaneously. But when I think about what's in front of us, I wouldn't limit it to kind of the camera effects or those types of things. You're hitting at where I think there is an incredible rich opportunity, which is, if you look at the everyday tasks on the PC, there's a lot of drudgery involved. There's a lot of just honestly manual work to manipulate applications in the platform to actually accomplish a daily task. Many of those are hard to do unless you actually have context, rich data sets, and the ability to reason against those in real time. And that really is that next horizon. It won't be kind of stuck in that kind of camera effects. It will be those core productivity scenarios and really taking the drudgery or some of those tasks out so that you can accelerate.
Right.
The commonality with both companies, and although you have very different businesses, is AI has become thematic across every part of your organizations. If you look at every product Microsoft's releasing, everything that Snapdragon Qualcomm is building, you kind of hear this consistent theme of AI. Now, this partnership is interesting. I think everybody's got eyes on it right now. It's a big opportunity. Like I said, I use the word disruptive, because like I said, the choice has been sort of A and B. And the chance is that with some of the emerging development technology is this could be the C choice in the PC space, something different. So I'd like kind of maybe to give you both a chance to answer this question. I'd like to get both your takes. But The partnership itself, Qualcomm and Microsoft, in your eyes, Kedar, I'll let you go first here, is kind of how do you see this partnership really being a driver of innovation?
Yeah, I think the way to think about everything beyond what Aaron said is there's obviously a lot of work Microsoft's doing to make sure that fundamentally Windows and Snapdragon work cohesively, take advantage of the heterogeneous computing that Snapdragon has to offer. But beyond that, I think Aaron touched on a very important thing. Like Satya announced the dev kit with the Volterra platform that we're handing out to third-party apps. So the partnership goes beyond just Qualcomm and Microsoft enabling their own set of devices. Where, for example, Adobe is here in Hawaii, and they're talking about a lot of good stuff, right? They're talking about, they've already announced a couple of native apps. You're going to hear them announce more native applications. So you can see what we're trying to do is address a lot of the productivity applications. There's a whole App Assure program for Microsoft that we're going and addressing this and making sure a lot of the apps can get ported to, say, the neural processing engine and take advantage. And that's where, he quoted some of the numbers, and I'll quote another number just so you have it. Like we've run things like Procyon, which is another, from UL as a benchmark. We're seeing 5 times more performance when running on the GPU. We're seeing more than double the performance when you run it on the CPU. So we're seeing significant merits relative to competition in terms of how we take advantage. So the partnership goes beyond, and we need to make sure that the application ecosystem drives and goes along with us in taking advantage of this.
Yeah, I think for me, just taking a step back when you look at partnerships is, do you have a common vision? Do you believe that? And then, honestly, selfishly, do you see opportunity? Because those are the 2 driving factors in my mind that create and really cement positive partnerships. In that situation, I think Qualcomm and Microsoft really have a common view of what's going to be the competitive landscape over the next decade. And we really believe that's not going to be defined by the characteristics of the PC today, but the ability to actually accelerate those, but more importantly, create a new horizon of competition around really end user functionality on AI. And that requires us to have the hardware capabilities, the platform capabilities, and then ultimately developers take advantage of that. So the first thing I would say is we share that vision. The second is real opportunity for Qualcomm to move into a new kind of space relative to volume, and for us to really change the kind of choices that are in front of customers. It's easy to kind of say there's a Mac platform and a Windows platform, and those are really the 2 viable compute platforms out there. But as you drill into that, there's a whole set of customers that have specialized, unique needs, whether those are gamers that have actually driven a lot of the GPU, or information workers, or everyday compute users. And so I look at that and I'm like, man, there's a whole set of customers that we can fundamentally better serve through that type of partnership. So I think we share a vision, and we both have selfish opportunities that really cement that in a really positive fashion.
And from a software platform perspective, if I look at the entire stack inside of your company, even onto the Azure side, there's a ton of work being done to support alternative platforms in that space as well. So it really is a sea change. I guess I have to go all the way back to when Windows worked on DEC machines to really see the different platforms that you've supported. I guess 30 years ago. I'm kind of aging myself here.
Yes, you are.
But it's PC, it's Azure, and then all of the stack of the tools that goes up and down the line. So it's even bigger. I mean, I know you can't imagine anything being bigger than the PC, but it's a Microsoft initiative.
I think you nailed it, honestly. When we look at the company, whether it's our M365 kind of productivity suite, whether it's the Windows platform, or whether it's Azure itself, I think we see a horizon in which AI plays kind of a fabric-oriented role, and that's going to present real choices both for end users, but more importantly, those developers around where do you incur the cost to deliver the actual experience. And so I think from Microsoft, and Satya talked about this, I think at last build, where we fundamentally believe there's a fabric that'll actually show up. And it will be a combination of the cloud, Azure, and the edge, Windows, really trying to serve the customer. And that's probably what gets so exciting around some of the things you're seeing lately from Snapdragon is really the ability for the edge to actually play an important role in those kind of AI scenarios. But it's not restricted to Windows. We don't think it's as small as the largest platform in the world. Yeah.
I love that's a great way to end here.
Yeah.
Aaron and Kedar, I really want to thank you for taking time here on the 6.5. Your announcements were exciting, and the fact that you rolled in, I didn't know who from Microsoft was coming in, and you and I have spent so much time with each other up in Redmond. It warms my heart to see the two of you together. So good work on the partnership so far. It's great to see, Kedar, what you're doing in your platform to move personal computing kind of to the next generation of where it needs to be. So anyways, thanks guys for coming on. We'd love to have an update next year, 6 months, to understand the progress you've made on that.
Awesome, appreciate the time.
Thanks for having us. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I was just going to say, it really is all about the experience. Great experience here. And by the way, I hope that camera over there caught a really nice shot of the two of them sitting there together when you were doing that love fest thing about the two of them.
I'm sorry. This is a personal thing for me, Dan.
It's personal and it's good.
I just can't read the news.
We gotta drive that experience.
I
So
like
you're
these
hitting it
guys
on the
too.
head.
Sorry.
They're good people. So hopefully everybody out there enjoyed this particular show. If you did, hit that subscribe button. We'd love for you to watch the other 8 interviews that Patrick and I did here for the 6.5 on the road in Maui at Snapdragon Summit. It was a lot of fun, a lot of great announcements, very exciting stuff. We got to go though now. So thanks for tuning in. We'll see y'all later. Bye-bye now.